What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Combat Corporation, your source of combat sports. I'm your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow. Today, I have a gear review on the HitnMove Turtle Mitt family. Alright folks, as always, I'm incredibly excited to bring you yet another gear review as today. It is a first for the channel in that I have multiple pieces of equipment to review for you in one video, and we are revisiting the popular Turtle Mitt by HitnMove. And now it's not just a standard Turtle Mitt that I reviewed a year ago. They now have the Turtle Mitt family, and now you can get them in a Micro Mitt version and a Mega Mitt or Air Core version, as you can see here. And just a disclaimer right off the bat, although I did review these mitts last year, these mitts were sent to me by HitnMove, and I was asked to give a 100% straightforward review as a professional mixed martial artist and a coach at my gym as well. And I have been using these extensively since they were sent to me, and I am comfortable to give you a review about them. But once again, with everything else that's sent to me, I'm giving you a 100 straightforward, honest review because at the end of the day, it is your training, health, and money at the end of the day that I really want to preserve for everybody, including me, and I wouldn't want those things messed with me. But I'm excited to do this review because if you remember my review from last year about these, I said, man, I love these mitts. I'm just partial to Air Cores, and I was so happy when Ozzy, the owner of HitnMove, reached out to me and said, hey, stay tuned because we're working on stuff. And lo and behold, now they have the Air Cores, and even better, they also have the Micro Mitts now. So I'm really able to change up my coaching, and it's also nice because now I have 3 mitts for virtually everything that I need. And not to give the whole review away, but basically, I think after getting these 3 mitts, I'm probably just going to box up all the mitts I have and just donate them to the local gym I grew up in. Because at this point, I kind of have what I need. To give you an idea how much I like the Turtle mitts from last review into this review now, it's completely locked in for me. But I wanted to talk to you about each and every mitt and show you some action of me using them with a local fighter that trains at my gym as well, and just kind of talk to you about the mitts in general. Now, first off, HitnMove as a brand, as I always talk about, they came out about 4.5 years ago, and they have just blown up in the boxing industry and the industry of combat sports in general. You've actually seen some major fighters starting using these now, such as Gervonta Tank Davis, Deontay Wilder. You can even see Gervonta Davis's coach, Calvin Ford, use these turtle mitts as well. And then on top of it, you can see these turtle mitts, literally, you can see the same turtle mitts in Creed 3, the movie, where Patrice Boogie Harris, who is a really nice boxing coach, really good coach, using these mitts in that movie as well, and he still uses them a lot. He actually just got a custom order. I think Boxing Colorways did a custom order for him, which is really cool. But at the end of the day, these mitts have really found their way to a lot of coaches, and obviously the equipment such as their gloves, and now new headgear coming out in the next month that's supposed to innovate the boxing world, which is absolutely crazy to me. I love HitnMove as a brand because, like I said, they innovate the game, and there are a few brands out there I can think that have done similar things, such as Rival Boxing. I can think about Hayabusa, Onyx Sports, things like that really changed how a boxing glove or how equipment was designed. But when it comes to HitnMove, I don't know about many other brands that actually have medical professionals come into like the field of combat sports and basically just try equipment on and say this is not meant to protect the hand, because the owners of HitnMove are actually orthopedic specialists. They are very smart when it comes to preserving the human body. They got into boxing more or less as a hobby. Now actually the owner of HitnMove since has competed in amateur matches, which I respect a lot, which tells you that the person that's actually training in these is putting the work in and creating them tailored to that, which is absolutely awesome. But They're geniuses because they literally designed a padding that's aerodynamically straight, and they called it a dart padding, and it is protective and also gives you a nice pop, and at the same time it works for just about everybody. And on top of it, they also made gloves that are 24 ounces yet have the same profile as a 14 to 16 ounce glove, which no one has ever done before. They're not overly bulky, they're just heavy and good to train in. And then on top of it, now you have the turtle mitts, and we go down to the turtle mitts in that, yes, they are a double-sided mitt, so you can hit the front and the back. But the cool thing about this is that it's actually orthopedically designed to keep your hand safe and to stop impact dead in its tracks. It's not impact absorbing, it's impact stopping. That's the cool thing that Ozzy from HitnMove told me, is that it doesn't absorb impact, it stops it in its tracks entirely. That's the goal of the turtle mitt. Now, there's a couple charts which I'm sure I'll put over the screen here so you can see, but basically with this turtle mitt, it is structured to fit the skeletal structure of your hand and also protect all the veins, arteries, and blood vessels in your hand. That way nothing's constricted, and you don't have to really flex your hand that much within this. Because I can't tell you the amount of mitts that I've had that had a ball in the center. I had to grip the ball like this and stuff like that. Now there's a small ball in this mitt, but when I put these mitts on, basically the way my hand's resting is kind of like this. Like a little bit of a curve. That's about that. It's basically flat like that, only with a little bit of a curve. And what's nice is that it has different orthopedic foams that are very soft to punch, for one, for your athlete, and soft for the coach. And the other cool part is that, you know, personally, like, I've been holding mitts like this for my entire life. When I go for like a body shot, maybe I go like 1, 2, or 3 to the body, whatever it might be, or I might go that way, you know. But it is nice though in that this mitt was designed so you don't have to do things like that. You're able to hit the back of the mitt like this. So say I want someone to do a jab to the body or a right hand to the body, or I go 1, 2, 3, and it's right there. I can do 1, 2, 3, and then hit the guy that I'm working with while they're offense to defense basically all the time, because I have this on the back, which is very nice. But honestly, that's not what the turtle was just designed for, to hit the back of the mitt. It was also designed to completely disperse impact. So basically the idea is kinetic energy, right? You know, I actually kind of like really sat down to learn about what this is supposed to be. When you hit any type of mitt, usually there's no padding or anything on the back. And when you get hit, it not only hits the center, but it goes through the back to the back of your hand. And it's kind of like when you punch bags with gloves. Think about this. When you punch bags with gloves, it's not just stopping at your knuckles. It's going down, and that's why you see most of the injuries in the hand being the metacarpals popping up that way and your wrist breaking, not just the knuckles. So it's the same thing when you're using mitts. When you're getting hit, it doesn't just stop at your palm. It goes to the back of your hand, recoils back down to your elbows, your shoulders, because you're taking all the brunt of a punch, basically. You're taking all that impact. So what the brackets on the back of the turtle mitt do, right, is basically disperse all the impact. So when it punches, it goes to the back in that big knob, and then basically it disperses out that way. It's kind of like thinking about an earthquake. If you had jagged different areas, sure, they'd kind of expand a little bit, but it wouldn't be as rocky in those areas is the idea. It's kind of like a couple different ways people go camping. They tend to split things a certain way so it's more stable, you know, instead of having one big split somewhere. If you have multiple, you can actually lay things over it, whatever it might be. That's just kind of the way that I attribute it when you think about it. So it basically disperses all that impact on the back. But like I said, it's also nice because say I want to do a jab here, do a jab here, I have padding on the back. Now, as I mentioned in the review before on the regular micro, not the regular micro, but the regular mitts by HitnMove, the turtle mitts, is that the padding on the back is definitely not as cushioned as the front. But it's still enough to where I can have people really wail into this and I don't feel it that much. It does not hurt the back of my hand. I felt it maybe go through once or twice, but it's not anything enough for me to be like, okay, that really hurts. I say with punches, it doesn't bother me, especially with big gloves on, but when it comes to like knees and elbows, kicks, and MMA, definitely the back of this isn't that great for those, but obviously these are more designed for boxing compared to the front, which can take any type of strike. I've caught kicks with these, I've caught punches, elbows, knees, anything you can think of, and that's the cool thing about the mitts. Now, I'm just going to show you these mitts here so you can kind of see exactly what every other mitt is going to have. Only the thing is, it's more the composition of the glove that is different. Now, when we come to the regular mitt, you can see the design is virtually the same in that they are all black. As you can see here, it's an all black mitt. Look how the light catches that. I think I'm going to turn the light down a little bit so it doesn't shine too much. But It's all black mitt. You can see we got the HitnMove logo on the back with different brackets that are different sizes. You got a long one at the top, shorter one below it. Then you got different knobs going here. Some are fatter towards the bottom, where they're a little bit smaller going up here. And then they're more bracketed out this way. Now, they don't have a Velcro strap on this version that I have, but honestly, I don't like Velcro straps so much because sometimes it kind of constricts the glove a little bit. But then when we turn it around here, you can see, once again, we have all black, and it says Turtle by HitnMove on the front there. And then right on the back here, you can also see it says HitnMove. I think it says Turtle at the bottom. Yes, Turtle right there. And you can see it has an L there, and the other one has an R on it, which I'll show you now. Right there, which means left and right hand. Now, the other cool thing about this is not only do they all have the brackets, but they also have this nice mesh panel at the bottom that you can see. And basically the idea is air is able to get in and out of the mitt, so it doesn't just compress and stay compressed. So it's a nice memory retention because of that orthopedic foam that each and every one of these mitts use. So when you punch, it doesn't really change. So some mitts, when you punch them, you can literally hear the air coming out of them because the foam on the inside is really starting to bother it, whereas these, they stay, they don't move. The foam stays in one solid spot at all times, which is always good. It pushes in, comes right back because you have all that breathability there. The other nice thing about having that mesh there, not only is it able to let the air come in and out, but it also dries the mitt off much easier as well. The other cool part about this is that some mitts will do this out there, but I like how HitnMove braces it right at the good spot of the wrist, because if you ever have held mitts, and coaches, comment below if you felt this, someone hits right here, it hurts like hell. And that's the cool thing about these, is that each and every mitt has that same squishy part right there of that same orthopedic foam right there on the back that you can see. And then the interior lining for all the mitts are a tricot material, as you can kind of see in there. It has that tricot texture, which is not really a rough tricot, but it is grippy, which is nice because when I put my hands in, I don't feel like I have to grip so much. It just feels like people can hit whatever I need. My fingers are nice and lined up on the inside. My pointer, middle, ring, and then pinky are going that way with my thumb over here. And that's the cool thing about this mitt. It travels all of those different turtle brackets, and the inside is comfortable and grippy. Now, it's not too hot. I know some people like mitts that have like breathe holes in the mesh on the back. I don't really care about that, to be honest, because your hands are going to get hot and sweaty regardless of what you're doing. But the interior lining for me is very moisture wicking, and it's actually antimicrobial properties too, which is really nice. So it's basically easy to clean, very odor resistant as well. I've never really had to do much with these mitts other than wipe them off. I think I conditioned these mitts once, maybe after I used them, just to see how they would react to the leather honey I had, and they reacted great. They still look brand new, and I've been using them for about a year now. So that's basically the regular mitt that I've talked about. Now, going into each mitt by itself, this is the regular mitt that you're going to get. This is the standard, I would call it, like a standard mitt. Basically, it's not too thick, not too small, it's not too thin, not too fat, whatever it might be. It is a standard sized mitt in that you can do virtually anything you need to with this. You can take these to your fights, and they're still pretty much low profile, but you can take these to your fights and have your athlete work on whatever you're working on before you walk out to the cage, because they're light and easy to do that with. They're nice and padded to hit people with, so you don't have to worry about really smacking them too hard with them. You can work power, you can work speed, you can work accuracy, precision with these. These are just an overall great mitt. The only difference really between the standard turtle mitt and say the micro and the air core is that they do have a little indent circle in the center here, as you can see, and that's just a great place where the punch is going to be placed, and that's where the impact will disperse. Other than that, that indents by about a centimeter, and then everything else is just a nice flat rounded surface around the entire part of the mitt here. But when you go there in the middle, that's what you got. You got the indent. And this mitt, as you can see, compared to the micro mitt, is not that much bigger, but it is bigger by a little bit. And then compared to the air core mitt, which is the mega turtle, it's about the same in circumference as far as like height and width goes, like this way, but as you can see, this is a much thicker mitt. that people would prefer probably for impact absorption. But when it comes to this, if you're a type of coach that you don't really want something too big and bulky, you want something that works anything, for sure the regular standard turtle mitt is probably your go-to. And that's my opinion, simply because you can do anything with these. Like I said, you can catch power, speed, defense, head movement, whatever it is with these, and they're still soft and padded enough to really wail on your I tell people all the time, people think I'm really harsh on the mitts. I smack my athletes basically to let them know, like, hey, it's not going to hurt you so much, but that's basically what it's going to feel like in the fight. And these have a really great glove replicating feel to me. They feel just like a nice, soft glove that you'd get hit with, which is something that I do like about these mitts. But overall, these are like your standard mitts to do virtually anything, any day training. This would do anything you need it to do, which is good. But this is like the middle ground, I would say, compared to, say, the micro mitt, which we go to. And like I said, it is much smaller and there's no indent in the center. It is a flat, curved type of design. And now the curve is there, so it kind of works like a catcher's mitt. When it's curved, you can really catch the punches. And you can see it is a little bit more indented towards the center, but not nearly as much as the other mitt. But you can see it still says the turtle there, and it has a logo on the back as well. The same turtle design, only in a smaller mitt. And it still has the same soft padding on the wrist as well. Now, micro mitts, guys, if you didn't know, basically are mitts that are more used for accuracy, precision, and speed. That's the idea, because this is a small enough surface to where you can really start moving your hand. So whenever I use micro mitts, it's usually, I want you to start ripping 6 to 8 punches in a row. I want fast combinations. I really want to start working speed, and I want to start working head movement at a fast pace. And now I do that simply because micro mitts are smaller, and most of the time they are a little bit more firm because they're packed in to a smaller surface. And that is basically what you have here. You do have the same orthopedic foams in this mitt as you do with these mitts, but the only thing about these is that they are a little bit firmer in here, which is why with micro mitts I don't like to hit my athletes quite as much. It might be a little smack or a tap here or there. And the other thing about micro mitts and me is that, as you can see, my hand is just about the same size as the mitt itself. It took me a little bit to like stretch out the inside of this mitt, but my hand does fit on the inside comfortably, as you can see there. And like I said, I work a lot of speed combinations with this in general. I really want people to throw, 6, 7, 8 punches in a row, move their head after the fact, just so they can kind of get the end of the head like, hey, we need to start moving our hands a lot more. That's what I use micro mitts for, compared to like a standard mitt in which we just work anything. So like I said, if you are more into, I just want to do fast running combos and you really want to just get your athlete active and constantly throwing, micro mitt will probably be your best bet. But if, say, you have a big heavyweight at your gym, or you have someone that hits really hard and you've really jammed up your wrist, even using something like this, your standard mitt, my go-to and why I love air cores is because these will keep you protected. So the air core is basically this in the center. You have one solid air piece in the middle. So when you hit, there's like an airbag on the inside that basically, well, it's just air actually you're hitting, and basically pushes all that air out, while all the orthopedic foam around here is still a soft before. Now, I am partial to air core mitts because I like the big size, and like I said, for MMA I can use kicks, knees, anything that I need. But these for me are probably the most comfortable air core mitts I've ever had. They slide on very easily, they're very padded, and they're very light. They feel just about as light as the standard mitt goes. And that's the other thing about the micro mitt too, is that they are much lighter than most other mitts that you're going to get, whereas these still very light for an air core. Now I still like these because you can work defense, so I won't lie, it is a little bit harder to swing these over because of how bulky they might be, but I love using these for chaining different combinations and really just sitting down, which is a term that we'll use, basically meaning sit down and throw as hard as you can. So if I have someone, maybe I want 2 strong right hands in a row or an uppercut right here, whatever it might be, which is absolutely super nice to have a lot of protection. The thing about air cores for me, it stops any type of impact on my elbows, my wrist, my shoulders, like virtually everything. That's why I constantly use air core. And for me, if you're a coach that's using mitts for upwards of 2+ hours a day, I would invest in the air core version of this, simply because it's just going to take the beating off your arms. And that's the thing about all 3 of these mitts, guys. and I mean this when I say it, is that none of them have ever made me sore after using these. And I've now, I basically every Friday I do mitts for at least over an hour and a half with my teammates, with some of the fighters that I have up and coming at my gym. You know, and I do it a lot more throughout the week as well. I'm using mitts for at least a half hour to an hour every day. And after using these 3 mitts, I have never been sore at all. Whereas other mitts, I've had my wrists jammed, my fingers pop back, my elbows and shoulders get sore. And that's why, honestly, after using these, I'm probably going to get rid of a bulk of my mitts and just donate them to the local club that might need them, or maybe sell a couple of them that, you know, people could use. But at the end of the day, I just really don't like the other mitts compared to these because of how protective they are. I really think that turtle mitt design is just nice and comfortable. It's very grippy, and everything about it just takes impact away from me. But let's go ahead and go into the actual work as far as me holding these mitts, so you can see how I use them and how you might want to use them when it comes to the turtle mitts.
So here I'm doing some mitts with a fighter at my gym, 18-year-old Alex, and he is 2-1 as an amateur MMA fighter right now. He's doing great. And as you can see here, I'm just working speed and combinations. I'm not doing anything crazy. You can see that I'm using the turtle mitts, the double-sided mitt there to hit the body. Just trying to really, with these mitts, really make him move his hands. And the other cool thing about the micro mitts is, unlike a lot of other micro mitts out there, my wrist is supported, my hands feel supported. I'm able to just let my hands and feet go. You can see I have some knees working there, and I don't feel those go through the mitt at all, which is awesome. Even the kick there, it was a solid kick. He hit it hard, and I didn't feel it with micro mitts, which is absolutely awesome. And that's one thing that I love about these mitts. Although they are small, they are very protective, and I am a big fan of having a small protective mitt. And in general, I'm just happy I'm able to have a fast mitt that's protective and really make my fighters work their speed. Like I said, you can also see that I'm having my fighters use the double-sided part of the mitt, which is absolutely awesome, especially when I want them to work body punches of any kind. So I'm having him work chest, sternum, and stomach punches there, just so he can kind of get a really good understanding of where he might want to place his punches. So here I'm having him do what we call Dutch drills, which is just basically moving your hands into your feet. And I'm having Alex, I told him before, I said, I want you to hit these hard, kick these hard, hit them hard, and I want you to not let go of anything, because with these air core mitts, they are very supportive. This is why these are my favorite mitts out of the bunch. As you can see, I'm having them go down to the body too with the other side. Unfortunately, my body's blocking it, but the way that I'm able to just catch punches, even in bad positions, if you see my elbows are popping out a little bit more, just so you can see how absorbent they are. But I love that I'm telling him to lay into these. I even said, I don't know if you caught that, it said hit hard. I'm telling him to hit 2 hard punches, bang, bang. And for a welterweight, Alex is a little undersized, but he hits very, very hard. And it's by both of his wins are by TKO right now. But he hits unbelievably hard, and the way I'm able to just absorb with these mitts is absolutely awesome.
These are the best mitts I've ever used, though. I love them.
And so I have the standard mitts here, and like I said, with these, you can just work anything. You can work hard shots, fast shots, you can work any type of combinations. Here I'm doing more form. You know, how can we do defense to offense and things like that at a regular pace? That way we can just drill things at a good, steady flow at this point. And that's basically what I'm doing with regular mitts. So with these standard turtle mitts, I'm able to do offense and defense, really work just moving your hands at the same time. And as you can see there, I turned the mitt over just because, like I said, that learning curve they're going to need. But now I went to the body with the other double side. But you can still use the other way. But at the end of the day, why would you when it's really protected the other way too? But these mitts are really great for working everything. So if you just want a great overall pair of mitts just to move hands, these are your option.
Alright guys, so my final verdict for the turtle mitt family, for each individual mitt, they definitely have their own unique qualities, and I think a lot of it comes down to they are virtually the same thing, only they adopted the other mitt styles, meaning you have the micro, standard, and air mitt. The only thing about these that make it different 100% is that turtle design that you have on the back. And I know a lot of people are probably going to ask me, do they really make that much of a difference? My answer to you is, for me, they have. And it might not for you. That's the thing about all the videos I ever tell you guys, is that these gloves were great for me. They might suck for you though, I don't know. But for me, it's taken so much punishment off my body with these, and that's why I've really enjoyed using them, because I just don't feel sore after holding mitts anymore. And that's one thing I always hated doing mitts, especially extensively, and why I had to stop doing mitts for a while, especially before my fights, because it was really banging up my body, you know, and it's a lot of work to hold mitts. A lot of people think that it's just, oh, you just call out combinations, do this thing. No, there's a lot of strategy into it. You're basically telling fighters sometimes to hit you as hard as they can, and if you're out of position one time, it could really mean one bad thing, and it could mess up your shoulder, your elbow, your wrist, or whatever it might be. You know, even especially with beginners, guys, because a lot of the times beginners aren't looking where they're punching, they're not sure where to go and stuff like that. All they know is they just got to hit and hit really hard. So that's why when I have these mitts, I'm just confident that even if they go and they mess something up, it's not going to injure me. And at the end of the day, as selfish as that sounds, I cannot afford to get injured, especially when I have so many fights lined up and stuff, and that I want to keep going, and I want to stay injury free, especially as a coach, because then if I get injured, I can't help anyone else at the gym, and then that's really gonna suck for people. So that's basically where my headspace is as far as these mitts go, is that the turtle impact disbursement that you have on the back is absolutely awesome. Now, the one thing I said about all these mitts, even on the Air Core mitt, is that yes, the back of the mitt is padded. You can definitely use it to get hit with, but is it going to be as padded as this front? Just look at this and you tell me. Obviously, we have one solid surface that has a lot of really nice cushioned foam, and then you have your Air Core in the center that's really dispersing all the impact, and then you have the turtle on the back. Now, like I said, it feels good. Like it's not hurting me so much. But for me as a MMA coach, I've had the experience that when people use boxing gloves, it does not hurt my hand at all. Where it comes to MMA gloves, knees, elbows, kicks, which is what I train and what I coach, then yes, the back of this is not always my go-to to hit with. And then obviously, sometimes with that, some people are going to say, you know, why would I do that when I've been doing this my whole life? Well, the idea, once again, is supposed to take impact off your shoulders in unnatural positions. Like, I've actually seen coaches put their mitt underneath their shoulder like this, and their shoulder gets popped out, or they do it like this, and their elbow cracks. Things like that I've actually seen happen. It's crazy. But with these, it is nice if you do want just every now and again, okay, go 1, 2, 3 right there to the body, or maybe I want, you know, too low, too high, or 1, 2 down here, back to 3 there, whatever it might be. Things along those lines. And that's one thing about the back. But is it gonna really protect the back of your hands? It's going to mitigate any type of impact you would have had without padding there, but I'd still say you are 100% safe getting hit in the front, and I'd say you're a good 70% safe getting hit in the back as far as that goes. Because I do think if you had a guy like Deontay Wilder hit the back of this glove, granted, with a boxing glove, maybe not, because it is a flat, bigger surface, but as an MMA glove, it's a lot more pointed, and you definitely feel the knuckles a little bit more. That's just my opinion, but I've never once got injured using this mitt because hitting the back of it. It will also be a learning curve as a coach if you've always just done it this way, to understand, like, oh, right, there's padding on the back of this, and I need to do that. Now, the other thing that I would say, and like I said, those aren't so much negatives as I'm just telling you my mindset when it comes to this. But the one negative, I guess I could say, is that, for one, I've owned some professional mitts that cost a lot of money, upwards of like 120 to 150 before, and they didn't last as long as I really wanted them to, but I took care of them. These will last you a very long time, but they do come at that professional price, and that most mitts are over 250 bucks. I think the micro mitts are going for like 230 right now. The standard mitts are going for about 250, and then the mega mitts think are on sale for 260 right now, but they usually go for 300 bucks. Now, with that type of pricing, you're basically comparing those to the brands that people have been using their entire life, like Winning, and that's the one thing. Like the Winning C4 mitts, I think they're called, which are the big, rounded, puffy mitts that everyone knows and loves, I think go for like 400 plus bucks. I would go with these over those, and people are like, well, have you ever used the Winning mitts? No, and it's because they're too expensive, and that's the thing, because I don't use mitts like that. I spent that on gloves, and even sometimes that's a bit of a stretch for me, but when it comes to that, just the average consumer is not going to want to buy a pair of mitts for that amount. Most people would sooner go to Dick's and get whatever it is if they're just doing mitts with their friend and stuff like that, because they're going to see that and say, my gloves aren't even worth that much. You know, my whole gym bag isn't worth that much. Sometimes, you know, it all depends on what you're doing. I am going to tell you, though, if you are a coach that is using mitts for a daily basis, there are studies with these mitts that are saying that it's actually mitigating impact to a point that's going to protect your longevity in the sport. So if you're holding mitts every day of your life, Monday through Sunday, stuff like that, or Monday through Friday maybe you're doing, or maybe Monday through Saturday of the week and you're closed Sunday, whatever it might be. I have personally, for me, found a big difference in using these, especially the center one I've had the longest over the last year. Whenever I use these, it just takes the impact off and it just makes it feel so much better. And that's the one thing about these mitts that I do think you will notice a big difference on, is that you are going to feel more protected, more padded, more safety. That's the one thing to it. But once again, the drawback is that price. Are you willing to pay that much? And obviously you got guys like Gervonta Tank Davis's coach, Calvin Ford, but also Calvin Ford probably has a lot more money than you and I because he's coaching one of the richest guys in boxing today. But that's the thing about it. If you are a coach and you are having mitts on your hand every day, I think it's worth an investment, because if that's all you're doing, you don't need gloves, you don't need new shoes, you don't need anything like, well, maybe shoes, but you don't need gloves, you don't need new hand wraps, you don't need, whatever it is. You just need the mitts. But once again, I also said that to a coach that coaches at my local boxing gym. He's like, yeah, but I could also get a new pair of mitts, a body protector, and probably something else for another athlete for $250, which is very true in some cases. But also, usually that's going to be a very cheap body protector. The mitts you're going to get are going to fall apart in a year. And instead of buying a new pair of mitts, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, I would just be good to buy this mitt here, because I mean it. I've had these for a year, and I use these virtually every day of the week whenever I hold mitts, which I'd say if it's not every day, I'm holding mitts at least 3 to 5 days a week for a little over an hour, and these mitts look brand new still. So that's what you're getting. You're getting high quality. They will last you a long time. I would see these mitts lasting you well over 5 to 6 years or longer if you just take good care of them, especially if you're using them all the time. So, with that said, what rating would I get them? To give you an idea, guys, like I said, I'm basically going to either sell all the mitts that I have, or just give them to the local boxing club that I grew up in, which is a nonprofit. That way the kids maybe can take mitts home and work with their siblings or something. Maybe their parents could put the mitts on. Maybe the coaches need some new mitts, whatever it is, because some of those mitts are still in like brand new shape. I'm getting rid of them because I don't need any more, to be honest. I have what I need now. I have a basic pair of mitts, I have a micro mitt, and then I have a turtle mitt. Oh yeah, they're all turtle mitt, but I have a air core mitt. And for me, I don't need anything else, and that's why I give them a solid 10 out of 10. For me, they are ultra protective. I feel supportive. I notice a difference in my coaching. That's the big thing that I'm going to keep repeating. I notice a difference in my coaching. Not just how my body feels, but the way I'm able to keep going in a session, because now my shoulders, wrists, and elbows aren't getting banged up. And that's the thing about this. I also feel like when I put my hands in and out of the mitt, it just feels natural and comfortable. The skeletal structure of my hand just feels like it doesn't need to do anything more other than just keep my hands covered. And that's the nice thing about it. My fingers have never jammed in these mitts. My wrists have never curled back in these rips. I've always felt, I feel impact, but not in a bad way. I've never once felt it just pierce through the mitt, even with the hardest punchers I have in my gym, just pierce through the mitt and just hurt. Never had that happen before, and that's why I am absolutely in love with these mitts. I even had my MMA coach, who was the coach from Matt Hamill back in the day, and a lot of other guys from our gyms, been in the UFC, Bellator, PFL, and a lot of other places, and I had him try these because he's been using the same Venom mitts for a while, and all he asked me afterward, just like, can you get a pair for me? Because he absolutely loves them, because he's getting older now. He's in his 50s and definitely holding mitts for as long as he's been holding mitts, for almost 30 years of being in the sport of mixed martial arts. Basically said along the lines that, his elbows, shoulders, and wrists are banged up from holding mitts for so many people all the time. But I had him use these for a little bit, and he says, I want a pair now. And he's actually thinking about sitting down and buying a pair because of that. And that's one of the most experienced coaches in the sport. Maybe not, maybe I'm biased because he's my coach, but at the end of the day, he's been around for almost 30 years. With first fight being a UFC 60, way back in the day. So, but at the end of the day, that's just, again, my opinion as a reviewer. But I do really encourage you, if you are a serious coach, to sit down and really think about investing into mitts to save yourself and to save your hands, your shoulders, your elbows, your body, and also to help your athletes out as well. For me, my personal favorite out of the bunch is the Air Core. when I tell you I think a car could hit this and I wouldn't feel it, I mean it. Because, I mean, I've not felt one thing. We actually had a contest of all the guys at the gym, and I should have recorded this, of who I can feel the impact through with kicks, with strong roundhouse kicks. And I sat there and I couldn't feel one. Punches, I don't feel one. They're comfortable too, and they just fit on perfectly. Just like that, all it is. That's my one thing I hate with mitts. I have to, especially Aircore mitts. They're so tight around the bottom here. All I gotta do is push these in. And also, I forgot to mention this, but these are the ones that have a Velcro strap on the back if you need to tighten it. But the other mitts do not have that. I forgot to specify that towards the end. But guys, I hope you enjoyed this review, and I hope it helps you a lot. HitnMove for me is one of those cooler brands out there because they are truly, they care about the sport. And that's the thing, people think, man, when you have expensive things like this, is that really going to, you know, improve things, and don't they just want your money? Or, you know, I hear that a lot, they just want your money. I think they want your money now, but they don't want to see you back for another 6 years. And that's the goal of a brand like HitnMove. When they say boxing deserves better, sure, they love your business, and any business would. But what they care about is that you are safe when you train, that you spent your money in a wise way, and that you're able to use the equipment for as long as you possibly need until it's just time to hang them up. And that's the thing about brands like HitnMove. It's the same thing when I think about other brands out there that actually care about the people buying their equipment, is that yes, it's expensive, but it's well worth the investment. And it is definitely a professional level of gear that you're going to get. So if you're in that beginner to intermediate thing and you're watching this, you're like, that's too expensive. Were you ever going to get a glove that expensive anyway? Were you ever going to go invest in, say, Winnings, Grants, Reyes, anything like that? Probably wouldn't invest in HitnMove either, because they are that caliber of equipment. They are the top of the heap, and that's the thing when it comes to that. So I compare them to brands like that because simply they are. You know, I compare them to brands like Grant, Reyes, Winning, Rival, a lot of the bigger brands that you see in a lot of major professional fights now, because they are a professional pair of gloves, they're a professional pair of mitts. Now they got the headgear coming out and everything, and they're really starting to compete with everybody. And there's a reason why they've blown up in just 4 years into the major thing. I mean, you even saw someone, granted he lost, but still fought Jake Paul in those gloves. I just watched the fight for fun, and I tuned out. I'm like, oh my God, those are HitnMove gloves. I couldn't believe it, you know, which is really cool. And then they just keep expanding and expanding. So that's absolutely amazing. But guys, thank you so much for watching this video. We're already at 9.1 thousand subscribers. That means that we are 900 subscribers away from the big 10K, and it's all because of you. So please hit that subscribe button, share this with your friends if they're looking for new equipment, and send them my way, as well as liking and commenting. Above all, I love the comments so I can respond back to you. What do you want to see reviewed next? Please comment below to let me know, and follow me on all my social media pages. And don't forget to hit that the social media bell. Hit the notification bell. That way you know when I make any type of post. And on top of it, it is one small click or poke with you, but it means a lot to the channel. So guys, thank you so much for watching your source for combat sports, the Combat Corporation. I've been your host, Al the Postmaster Morrow, and as always, I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great day, everybody.